Kickstarter and Indiegogo is crowdfunding for product. The problem with those platforms is that most of the startups failed and people don't like to buy from them anymore. So unless you have built a brand name and you're launching a new product and then the crowd trusts you.
Sometimes the entrepreneur sees that they can make it in more simple way, which is like bootstrapping. If you fundraise, you can just make it much bigger.
Always raise money when you can, not when you need it, because you're going to need it, especially if you're in development. I think you should focus and you should talk about that one thing that you're obsessed about, be good about it, and that way you create a personal brand.
Fundraising by crowdfunding is today's topic. Welcome to RawCEO Podcast. I'm Arty, McLabin, the host. Together with me today is Senia Waldberg, owner of a marketing agency for crowdfunding, as well as a record breaker in the crowdfunding for his company, Annabella, for which he has raised $14 million. We will soon ask Senia as well about the other achievements in crowdfunding. Besides that, Senia has been dealing with blogging. Senia has written a few books which are bestsellers, and so many interesting interactions I have had with Senia's content over all those years. Senia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Could you tell us a bit about the current state of your company, Annabella?
The current state is that we're selling in Israel, in the United States, in Germany, in Austria, in other countries in Europe, and we're also focusing on launching our wearable pump, which is our best product that's supposed to come.
What's Annabella? Just for the viewers who don't know about Annabella.
Annabella is it's the only breast pump in the world that mimics a baby suckling motion. It has a tongue mechanism. It's the only pump in the world that has this tongue mechanism, and that's why it is more pleasant and it pumps more milk, 50% on average. To be direct, if we look at the clinical trial we've done.
That's an amazing product. I would say that I've asked a lot of the viewers with whom I have interaction about which questions would they propose to ask you. And around half of those questions are, Senia, when are you deploying the dynamic suction device? And, people just are looking forward to get the product. People are so pumped about that.
Well, the product is, first of all, the product is on the market. They can buy the pump, not the wearable yet, but we're selling the normal pump, the usual pump, in all those countries I mentioned. So they can buy it right now if they want to.
Yeah, the wearable pump. When is it going out?
I can't say yet because we didn't publish it, but soon. All
right. So for how many years have you been running the company, and could you tell us a bit about the fundraising story? So what's the chronology of fundraisers, VCs? I know you have been in the Shark Tank. I actually saw the episode back then. So could you tell us about this chronology?
Well, first of all, I need to say that I'm not running the company. I'm not the CEO. We have a CEO since practically the beginning. I founded the company, but I don't run it. I found a professional CEO who has a lot of experience in manufacturing, in logistics, in managing medical companies, and we recruited him as a full founder. He entered as a full founder, and I'm a director there. I assist in marketing and fundraising, but I don't. It's not the only thing that I do every day. That must be said. What was the second part of the question then?
Yes. What is the chronology of the fundraising? So VC, Shark Tank, crowdfunding.
Okay. So before Shark Tanks, we started, they usually call it the FFF stage, friends, family, and fools. Because when you're a seed startup, you're very, very high risk. We started this round when we were in a garage, so to speak. We did have a working prototype, but it had the strings and parts coming out of it, so it was just for testing to prove that we have something that works and pumps more milk than the best pumps on the market.
Who was the first sucker?
To pump. My wife was the first one to try the pump.
Okay. Yes, right.
all the tests were done on her. So yes, she was the first one to try it, and the first investor was one of my friends. I actually called him to ask him if he has other investors, and he decided to invest himself first. And then when we came to the Shark Tank show, we already had about 800,000 shekels, which in dollars today it's around something close to 300,000 dollars, a little bit less, $270,000. And the Sharks entered with about 1.3 million shekels in that round.
So they were the first ones to invest after the FFF.
Yeah, they basically kind of joined that round, I must say, and one of them also is a VC. So they joined. One of them joined privately, and the other one joined through a VC. And since in Israel we don't have a lot of investors who invest in medical, you need to be in other countries for that. It's difficult to find investors in that field. So the next round we did close with private investors. One of our investors was Zohar Gilon, a guy who has done more than 70 exits so far. He's a very known angel investor. He's worldwide known. He's
70, like 70.
Yeah, 70. Yeah, exits.
Damn.
Exactly. You heard it right. I think he's one of the top in the world, I think, by now.
Is he like 200 years old?
No, he's not young, obviously. Yeah, but not that old. And his success rate.
No, but how can you do 70 exits in a lifetime? You know, it's just you need more years for that than a person would live on average.
He invests a lot, and I think his success rate is close to 50%. Close, as far as I remember. Yeah, he has a good eye, and he keeps track of everything. So he's a good guy to be on your team. Let's put it this way. Very professional. And then we went to crowdfunding because we saw it's. First of all, I started specializing in that field. When I founded the company, I didn't yet. And since I started specializing in that field, it was easy for us to do the same. We were known from TV. We're a consumer product, so the crowds understood what we're doing, and it was easy for us.
And you're a marketing expert, so for you, pretty much, as far as I understand, and tell me if I'm wrong, crowdfunding has much more to do with marketing than a normal fundraising round. And since that's the case, you could leverage your expertise in marketing for actually having a more successful fundraise. That's so?
Yes, but people who go to crowdfunding need to understand that you can't just tell a story that has no connection with the right investment to the crowds today, because at least in Israel, I don't know how it's in the United States or other countries, but at least in Israel, they became smarter. They understand much more now. And even small investors sometimes ask you questions like a VC. Obviously, they don't do as deep digging as a VC, especially because they are not specialized. Most of them don't specialize in a specific field. I mean, VCs, they have a specific field usually, and they specialize in that, and they won't invest in you if you're out of their scope, unless something very, very unique happens, and it's very, very, very rare. So it doesn't happen. Private investors can do that. Family offices can do that. And one of the problems in Israel, and by the way, I have a very big investor friend who lives in somewhere abroad, let's put it this way. And I told him that he can use that to invest in Israeli startups in the medical and the consumer field, because since they don't have many investors, and because of the war, there were a lot of investors who were afraid to invest. You can get a lot of companies for a cheap price. And some investors use it now because Israel has a lot of developments in the medical field, like a lot. Saving lives is one of our main businesses in Israel. And not enough investors. So when a big investor comes and invests, he can get a lot of companies for a very good price. And that's one of the reasons that many of those companies do crowdfunding in Israel. First of all, because the crowd understands medical devices in crowdfunding. You have a problem, you're about to die or to be sick, this thing solves it, okay, or helps it. The simple man, the simple investor can understand it. He doesn't have to be an expert. He can understand, and usually there are doctors on the team. Um, and since the war stopped a lot of investments in Israel, it brought a lot of very good companies to crowdfunding. I had companies that I wanted to invest, and I took all my payment in shares because of this.
Crazy. And what type of crowdfunding is it? So, do you consider AngelList, for example, as a form of crowdfunding, or are you speaking about mainly Kickstarter, Indiegogo? So, what platforms?
No, Kickstarter and Indiegogo is crowdfunding for a product.
Yeah.
I do crowdfunding for equity.
Only equity?
Yeah, I do only equity. I did Indiegogo and Kickstarter in the past, but the problem with those platforms is that most of the startups failed and people don't like to buy from them anymore. So unless you have already built a brand name and you're launching a new product and then the crowd trusts you, you have nothing to do there. Or if you have a crazy idea that can go through all the BS levels of people, because people don't trust those platforms. Not today, as far as I see it. And even in Israel, when we made crowdfunding for a product, the last time we did it, we didn't use a platform at all because we have Israeli local platforms as well. What we did is we built a website for the product, and we said it's not a crowdfunding; it's a pre-sale. First of all, we didn't pay the 5% to the platform. Second, people psychologically did not think there's a chance they don't get the product. They knew they're going to get the product. So it's a pre-sale. You can go to Indiegogo and Kickstarter if it's not the first product your company launches, and then you have a trust. You have the trust of the crowds, and if you're going to make it cool and interesting because people expect to see something there. Or again, like I said, a very good idea. But personally, it's not the first place I would go to unless I have to.
Yeah, are you saying that about any kind of product or specifically physical products, medical products? So what about, for example, software, like, for example, games,
Well, games, I don't know. It's not my field. I must say I don't have any experience in that. Medical products don't go there at all. It's only consumer products. You can't, it's very difficult to launch a medical product on Indiegogo and Kickstarter. Unless it's a medical consumer, like my product is medical consumer. It's not. You don't need the highest level of FDA. We need a 510K protocol. Some people may not know what it is, but it's not the hard. It's not like a drug. So it's more like a consumer product.
Yeah, it takes like 10 years for a drug normally to get the approval.
10 years is a good scenario. It depends. Yeah, but I've invested in drug companies. And yeah, it takes a long time. There are a lot of problems on the way, and you need a lot of money. If you succeed, you can make a huge profit on your investment, but there is a high risk in that. It depends when you invest. All the investments I did in drug companies so far, none of them failed yet. So far, my well, none of them succeeded as well. One of them went to the stock market, and you can say it's half a success, but their share is still low because they didn't get the FDA. If they get the FDA, it's different. So I can't say they've succeeded yet. The others are still private. Well, let's see what happens.
A quick question to the viewer. Are you currently enjoying this episode so far, or are you wasting your time? Because if you do get the value out of it, then we have crazy conversations with another superstar guests in this channel. Consider subscribing for that. Yeah, remember, you've been on a team of drug versus cancer. And there was the story with the journalist that just pretty much did all she can to kind of ruin the brand. Was that a thing?
No, that's it's a supplement he invented. and he started selling it as a treatment that helps people to go through the symptoms of people who get cancer treatment. And it helped. And the journalist didn't like it. She was connected to another big company in Israel that I don't know if she did it because of that company or if she did it herself. I don't think I care. I'm not big on conspiracy theories. I don't like them unless you have proof. I don't treat it seriously. But
It's kind of useless, right? We can't act on them.
yeah, but I think that people like conspiracy theories because they want to be a part of something. If you have proof, it's not a conspiracy theory anymore because you have proof. But later on, that guy went to the clinical trials, and he did 2 clinical trials on his supplement, and both showed great success. So that journalist turned out to be bullshitting the public because eventually he proved it with 2 clinical trials. Because when we started, he just had a preclinical trial. And you can argue and say it's not good enough, there's still high risk, and all that is true. So the journalist could write whatever she wants. But now that he has a clinical trial...
But the damage has been done.
The damage has been done, yeah. But now when he has the clinical trials, it's different. Because now he has proof. And 2 of them.
Yeah. He runs a clinic now, as far as I know.
Yes, he runs a private clinic. He treats people and he treats them with success. Very high success rate, but still it's an alternative supplement. It's if doctors recommend him, they would always recommend him, not officially because they can't do it officially. And many people come to those treatments after they have exhausted all other options, and usually when they do that, they come in a stage that he can't help. So that's the problem. I'm not saying that you should not listen to your doctor or you should go to those alternative options as the first choice. No, I'm not saying that because many of them don't have clinical trials that prove they're right. But in his case, it's different. Yeah, but he's very unique because most of those alternative solutions are, let's put it in a nice way, are not so reliable.
Yeah. Senia, something I would like to also ask you. So both of us, we started from fields which don't have any connection to saving lives. Okay, so you started from blogging. Actually, I don't think that you know that, but I know you for 20 years. So actually your first YouTube videos, I was watching them. Okay, so I know you for a very long time. Now, so you started as a comedian, right? And then you switched to be a pickup artist, right? You wrote a book about it. And the crazy thing is that this book is not just, for me, I read it, and this is not a book about, for me, about a pickup as much as this is psychology of a success for a man. Okay, so it's a huge boost of confidence, and I can say that it has contributed to me actually, making it possible with my wife, with whom I'm married for many years already, right? So I didn't pick her up. We have been dating since before I've read this book as well, but it has helped me psychologically, right? And pretty much you started from something that is not about helping people with so serious stuff, right? It's a comedy at first, but then you switch to politics, you switch to health startups, right? And the stuff that you do, they affect lives of people, right? So your startup is something that can make a big difference between baby who gets quality milk from their mother, or someone who gets a supplement, an alternative milk, right? Which is a huge difference for health. Now, I started as a game developer. I didn't intend to save lives, but nowadays in the development company that we do, we have clients which do air defense, which do physiotherapy, and there are anti-missiles systems which are trained on neural networks which we produce. Now, we didn't intend on that. And I would like to know, how does it feel for you? Like, when did you realize that the stuff that you do, they have much higher scale? And what personal difference did it make for you? If you can share that.
First of all, I didn't quite switch. I was always a marketer, and I did marketing for a lot of different products. And it looks like I'm switching to politics or health, but the truth is I just worked with politicians.
Right.
And when I start working in a certain field, I learn about it. The first time I learned economy, I can now keep lectures about economy, even though I don't do that, but because I don't have a first degree. But I worked with a political party which main goal was to solve the economy. So I educated myself so I could market it better. And I started understanding a lot of things I did not understand before. I learned pretty quickly. And that's why it looks like I'm switching fields. When I worked with our previous Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, and I wrote his economical plan for the election, the Plan Singapore we called it. Only a week before the elections, we had a meeting, and our professor in economy said something. I don't remember what he said, and I told him, wait a second, don't forget, I don't have a degree in economy. And they all looked at me like, you don't have a degree in economy? I said, no, you didn't know that? They said, no, we thought you had a second degree. Because turns out my knowledge was suitable for a second degree. I didn't know that, okay, but it became a hobby. Obviously, I didn't learn it for 3 months, and that's it. It became kind of a hobby. I read a lot of articles, and I follow economists, but still, I don't have a degree. And same thing happens with a lot of things. The reason I started Pickup was because I had a different intention from teaching it or marketing it.
You wanted comedy.
I wanted comedy.
I saw that on the podcast actually today with the two Jewish guys podcast.
Yeah, I had nothing. I had no desire even to use it for myself. Just wanted to see how it works. That's it. So I don't quite switch. I'm always in marketing, and maybe you can say now that business investments, but that's the new part. About when I first saw that I impact people, I think that when I started writing the blog and I started making people laugh, people told me that I helped them with depression and stuff like that, and I was like, "Whoa, dude!" I mean, and when I started the Pickup, I actually got I don't remember when was the first time I got it, but I got emails that people told me that you literally saved my life. I thought about ending it, stuff like that. I mean, and I was like, whoa. I don't know if that person really meant it, but it was nice to read that I actually.
You played the part, at least. At the very least, you've played some part in that, and enough of a part for that person to tell you personally that, well, you did it, right?
Yeah, so I understood that I have a big impact, and I see it every now and then. I'm still an internet celebrity. For example, the last time when we had the war in Iran, in the previous war and this war, I write a lot about what happens and to calm people down, because the media always says everything is bad, everything is blowing up, and it's not that way. I mean, people live normally in Israel during those shootings. Some even ignore the sirens. Not a good thing, but they ignore the sirens. And a lot of people were telling me that we're sitting in shelters, and people are actually talking about you to calm other people down, given your perspective. And that felt good, that I'm actually helping people, and it kind of felt that like I have to do it now. I can't stop, because if a lot of people depend on me, there are actually some people who write me privately, people I don't know, who write me on WhatsApp. I'm scared about, and I have to start calming them down. That actually also happens. So I try to do it with posts and videos so that I don't have to write to everyone personally, obviously.
Yes, right.
And since my projections about the war were very accurate, a lot more accurate than the media.
They were. I am a witness of that.
Yeah. So now a lot of people asking me, when is the war going to start? When is it going to be over? And stuff like that. I say it in advance. I don't know all the answers, but to some of the questions, I am pretty sure.
Is it the reason why you joined Trade Tribe? Have you co-founded Trade Tribe, or did you join it?
I co-founded Trade Tribe. I was the marketing part. A guy came to me. He was the business founder. Let's put it this: he was the business side. I was the marketing side, and the third guy was the trading side. He was how do I forgot his name? There's a he traded in penny stocks and he made a lot of money. I forgot that there's a big celebrity in that field. I forgot his name. Um, and they proved to me that they make a lot of money. And I said, okay, if it's teachable, let's teach it. And we founded a company that teaches people how to trade penny stocks. And then something kind of amazing happened. One of our students became better than the teacher, and he became the new teacher of the. We released another course, and he was also teaching better. So people started liking him like a lot. His nickname was Penny Whale. We can't disclose his full name. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want anyone to know who he is really. But he was one of our students, and then his course became the main course because it was better than the previous one. And after the coronavirus, after the stock market did the huge wave thing, we had to stop because it was very hard to make money in penny stocks and OTC because of the situation on the stock market. But until that moment, we actually created 25 millionaires. And the same journalist you were talking about, by the way, we said it in one of our videos. And she called us because she wanted to make a negative article about us. And she said, I want to talk to those millionaires. When he said, go ahead. And we gave her the phone numbers. And two of those millionaires, they were actually pretty known people. To be honest, they were millionaires before us as well. It just made a lot more millions because there were two players of the Israeli national soccer team. So we gave her the number, said, go ahead, talk to them. And then she didn't write the article because she had no bad story because we gave her the proof. And everything is documented, by the way. You can't bullshit it because you can just download the trading history. So she could. We told her, do you want to see the trading history? I mean, come on. We'll download it in front of you from the account so you can see it's not Photoshop and stuff there. And she didn't write the article.
I have a thesis. Maybe you didn't approach her when you were doing the pickup art, and she's very upset on that.
No, but by the way, right now she personally is in a good relationship with me because every now and then when I would see someone who has to be exposed, and I know she looks for people for things to expose, I sent her. And so after that, we kind of, I can't say we became friends, but if I write her something and tell her, look, you have to investigate this, investigate that, then she follows it.
Strategical connection. Strategical communication.
Yeah, I mean, it's more like a favor to society. I mean, if I see something that has to be investigated, and I think she's the person to do it, I don't always give her the investigation because she's too aggressive and she doesn't always do her homework, unfortunately, as you've seen from the previous story. Not the trade tribe, the one with the medical device. And trade tribe, she just didn't write about it, but. Sometimes when it's not a big enough story for a bigger journalist, so I give it to her.
I would like to switch a bit back to fundraising, if you may. So what is the difference that you see mainly for your strategy when it comes to VCs and crowdfunding? So have you done also VCs besides crowdfunding for Annabella?
Yes. But we had less success with VCs in Israel for the reason I told you. They don't do a lot of consumer and medical. And we're not medical enough for those who do medical. And that's the problem. So, and once we wanted to go to VCs in the United States, from the moment we started selling in the United States, that was the moment we decided, okay, now it's the time to go to VCs in the United States because now they can see the product in the United States. It's different. I mean, you succeed in the big world, not just locally. And the war started. So They were asking us if we can move to the United States, but moving to the United States means you have to change the IP, and that's a problem because when you make millions of income, that's a big thing. I mean, it will cost us a lot of money just to switch the main quarters of the company. So we couldn't do that, and we had to wait to the. Now the war is kind of ending, so I think it's going to be easier with the wearable pump. It's going to be even.
Is it?
It is ending because first of all, people got used to it. Second, I think after
Yeah.
I think after the elections, the majority part of the war will be over because our prime minister is going to want to come to the elections when he had success in Lebanon, in Gaza, in Iran. It's going to be difficult for him to come to the elections when he didn't finish the job. I think he's going to have a little bit less to finish after the elections, but not a lot. So I think the war is going to be in the ending stage by the end of the year.
Okay, that's a very interesting insight for me personally. That's useful. And okay, why did you register the IP in Israel in the first place? So do you regret not doing that in America?
Well, after the war, maybe yes. I think if you can register your IP in America, it's
Yeah.
going to be better for you, especially if you're in the medical consumer field. That's the sad part for the Israelis. If you're AI company or defense tech, it's different. It's different for each state. I don't want to talk about defense tech because it's more
Yeah.
complicated. But AI is less important. Cyber is less important. But usually, but it's yeah. But
Because it's big in
sometimes
Israel, right?
let's put it this way: some investors would say always try to register in the United States. Some investors would say it doesn't matter for some fields. I don't think there's a right answer here, but I would say that if I knew that this would be the situation right now, yeah, I would register in the United States.
Yeah, I would say that so many Israeli entrepreneurs actually have had such a big decline since the start of the war, and they kind of regret not internationalizing before that, right? So pretty much it's not only about IP; it's also about marketing abroad, outside of the country. So not to depend on one market which is small. So even if you are pretty big in one small market, and even if you make very good money from that, you're still at the risk of geopolitics of that country. Like America is big, right? So what can go wrong with US? Something can go wrong, but not as much as with a small country like Israel, right? So yeah, we didn't know that it will happen. I do blame myself partially that I didn't internationalize in time. So I was part of that hit. I will confess about that.
Well, let's put it this way: I'm a consultant for startups now, and there is one startup that I, in particular, entered now that I have a little bit more shares than a usual consultant. Let's put it this way. Maybe even I'll take a bigger part in it soon, and I don't rule it out that we will change our location to the United States. But it's AI. There's no IP yet. It's much easier. It's not gonna be as costly.
Mm-hmm. Other question about fundraising and crowdfunding specifically. What is the importance of the wait list? So it's kind of almost unanimous that everyone says that waitlist is important for at least for Kickstarter campaigns, because I deal more with Kickstarter campaigns and games. But is it overstated, understated? Could you comment a bit about this and how you also used it to your advantage with maybe your blog, maybe your public figure?
First of all, I think it's a must. You must have it. You must have a waiting list because if you failed to have a waiting list, you probably will fail the campaign. The waiting list proves to you there's a demand for your product. It gives
Right.
you the chance to make little twitches in the campaign to make it better. I had a campaign a few years ago that we created a pilot to create a waiting list to see how much does it cost us to get someone to sign in for the waiting list, and we found out the demand for the product is not as big. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's a must thing. That's a must thing. You must have it. Um, Also, once you start the campaign, that waiting list helps you to create the first a wave of purchases. And people want to see you move fast. They don't want to see you move slow because it drives people in. Also, in crowdfunding per product, not just per equity. Per equity, it's less important. In equity crowdfunding, it's different. It also helps when you have first investors in. All that helps. I've seen a lot of campaigns in America also, not just in Israel, and many of them make a lot of mistakes in the campaign. I must say, it was surprising to me because I always said that probably Americans are better than us in marketing, but I got a lot of not a lot, but some entrepreneurs who started consulting with me about their campaigns in the United States, crowdfunding campaigns, and I was shocked at the mistakes they make sometimes. So yeah, it's good to know that we're actually better than we thought. But the waiting list in equity campaigns is less important, but still, it is better to have it. We do it.
It proves traction. And just for a question for 20 seconds, which platforms do you think work better? Which platforms perform worse for crowdfunding?
But in America, I don't know because I didn't. I just consulted some startups, but I didn't work with the platform myself. So I'm, I I don't wanna I don't wanna say something I don't know. In Israel, I don't want to say anything because I work with all of them, and some might get insulted. Every platform has its benefits and disadvantages. So but I must say it's more about the campaign. It doesn't. I work with all the platforms. The success or failure of the campaign depends upon the campaign, upon the story, upon the CEO of the startups that knows how to sell the product in webinars, upon the people who answer the phone call, upon the progress. If during the campaign you have some new things that happen in the startups and you can update the investors, that's what's going to decide the success of the campaign, not the platform.
Which questions are you getting asked in your consultations that you deliver that you think people should ask more? So what are the questions that the people don't think about asking enough? Which questions they should ask more?
I get asked everything, and I don't know which questions people should be asking more. I mean, they should be asking everything. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to know everything you can about what you're doing, about the startups business in particular, not just your field and your startup, but in the field generally, about VCs, about investments. I think what people should do more is they should raise money when they can, not when they need it. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see. In the past, I used to see that a lot of startups made the mistake of making a product before trying to market it, and that way they make a great product, a new product, shiny technology. Nobody needs it. But today they make a lot less this mistake because a lot of people were talking about this. I was talking about this mistake like 10 years ago, but since I have a lot of reach, so everyone who was making lectures in Israel about marketing, they started talking about it. So now people don't make that mistake anymore. They still do, but less than before. So I don't find it a lot today. But the thing of raising money, a lot of entrepreneurs, they think that once, especially if they're first timers, there is the illusion they live in sometimes that once they launch the product, they're not going to need investments anymore, or once they raise an investment, they're not going to need any more investments in the future. In 99% of the cases, it's not true. I had a phone call about 3 months ago that someone was talking to me about crowdfunding, and it's a platform. And I told him, once you launch and you have income, you come to me and I'll make your crowdfunding campaign, but I can't launch it now. You're too early. And he told me, why would I need you once I launch it and have income? And I was like, it's your first startup. He says, yes. How did you know? I said, because of your question.
Yeah.
I told him, launch it, have income, And if you don't need me, don't call me.
Yeah.
But I assume he will, unless he raises an investor without it. But always raise money when you can, not when you need it, because you're gonna need it, especially
Yeah.
if you're in development. And you're always in if you're a startup, you're always in development, or you stop development once you go to exit strategy, and even then, not always.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been bootstrapping for 8 years. Now we're fundraising, and now with the experience that I have now, with the knowledge I have now, I regret not fundraising maybe 5 years ago. Okay, so the 8 years of bootstrap, it was possible, and I did it. But I know nowadays that if I would fundraise back then, I would be much bigger right now. Right, my companies would be much bigger. So sometimes it's just that the entrepreneur sees that they can make it in the kind of more simple way, which is like bootstrapping, and they just think that, hey, I won, so I can do it without fundraising, so I won. I can keep all the equity for myself, and this is a victory. But I mean, not exactly, because if you fundraise, you can just make it much bigger, right? And then even if you give away equity, you give away equity of something much bigger, of a bigger pie. It's actually funny because you spoke about the distribution importance now. Actually, today I've got a message from Eric Ries, the author of The Lean Startup, in which pretty much is the Bible of entrepreneurs who want to gauge the traction before production of the full software, full product. So we talk a lot about those stuff in the channel here. Other questions I have. So one is, how does the knowledge you have in political campaigns transfer to crowdfunding? Is there any overlap between crowdfunding and political campaigns?
Well, besides the fact that that's marketing and that's marketing, almost nothing. Political campaigns are a lot different. It's in
Really?
political campaigns, about half of the things you do is you try to discredit the other side. In business, you don't do that. Why would you discredit that? It's rare to do that, but let's put it this way, it's very rare.
Yeah.
You mostly are talking about why your product is good, why your product is better. You think about new stuff. In politics, you need to have shiny promises that the crowds will like. Sell them a dream. In that case, maybe there is a little bit of overlap. And explain why your politician is the best. Make him look good, talk well, send him to acting lessons, stuff. But generally, politics is very different. The thing that overlaps there is maybe the fact that you need to tell a good story. Every political party every candidate needs to have a good story, some sound bites, like I'll build a wall with Mexico. I'll clean America from illegal aliens. In Israel, it's different, yeah, but but it's very different. The one big mistake that many politicians in Israel, we have a lot of political parties, but the one big mistake that politicians in Israel make is they take good marketers that know how to reach the media in Israel, and they take them as political campaigners, and they think they understand what they're doing, but they're not. And that's one of the reasons that Bibi is prime minister for so long. It's because he works with professionals. I know those people personally. I've sat with them several times. I know how they think. And I can tell you from my point of view, as someone who also worked with other political parties, these guys are professionals. They know what they're doing. Most of the times when I come to a new political party and I make their campaign, the first month I'm very busy arguing with other campaigners, explaining them that they're wrong, that it's not how it works in politics. I'll give you an example. In 2019, the beginning of the year, I was working with Moshe Feiglin, and I told them that we need to make long videos of Feiglin explaining his ideas. And they told me, nobody watches long videos. I said, really? You don't watch movies? It said, it's not the same. You don't watch lectures? It's not the same. You don't watch people explain stuff?
I watched 20 minutes of your ad. So I remember you've made an ad, which was like 20 minutes with white screen and red text, something like that. Was 20 minutes or so? I watched the full ad, and what was PPC, right?
They didn't even know what a VSL is, and I told them, you know what? Let's put it to the test. I wrote things in the text, put it out there. It became the most viral video so far in the campaign, like dramatically most viral. No, not even close to the others. And some of them were like, "Whoa, you were right." And you know who was the first politician to copy us? Bibi, because his marketers are also experts. Okay, they understand how it works. I was negotiating with them once, by the way, to join the campaign of Bibi in one of the rounds we had here, and I told them directly, I mean, I can help you, but it's not going to be as dramatic because you already are professionals. I mean, I can maybe help you like 5%, but you kind of do a great job. I mean, that's the truth. Um, Most other campaigns, the majority of them, do a shitty job, like a really shitty job. You know who else does a great job, by the way? Arty. We don't like him politically, but objectively, his campaign is good. He's doing a good job, and you can see it by the results, by the way. So that's the problem. I mean, sometimes it's a big. That's Let's put it this way. That's the reason Bibi is prime minister for so long. He's a professional campaigner. He uses professionals, not people who tell him stories, people who know how to bring results. But it's very, very, very different from the free market. If you're a good marketer on the business side, it's not necessarily that you can be a great political campaigner unless you come to political campaigns like me, admitting you know nothing and you need to learn. That's why I became a good political campaigner, because when I first took a political campaign, I was very unconfident, even though I had great results in the business side. I said, it's different. It's different. I don't know many things. And unfortunately, not all people do that. I mean, some people say, yeah, I sold shoes so I can sell a politician, a prime minister. So that's their idea. It's not true.
Do they know what's gonna happen in European? So I mean, so we don't know about geopolitics as much. Okay, so you are among the people with the most amount of knowledge in geopolitics prediction among the private sector. I'm just wondering, is it to some extent true, the, let's say, conspiracies that the politicians know what's going to happen ahead of time, 2 years from now? So how wild is it? Like, how close it is to a jungle? Because it seems to me like a jungle, but maybe I'm missing out on something.
It's not close. It's not close to a jungle. It's a jungle. It's when people started saying that the coronavirus was a conspiracy theory by politicians and they made it on purpose, they planned it all. I said, look, guys, I work with them. If you think they planned it all, you give them a huge compliment that they are capable of planning that thing and executing it, that it will work. They can't. They're incapable of doing it. I was like, I wish they were capable of doing that. You know what? I wish they were capable of doing it. And that's why most of these conspiracy theories are ridiculous. They're ridiculous not because of the scientific part, which is impossible or possible. Maybe it's possible, maybe it's impossible. They're ridiculous because those people cannot do that. They can't pull it out. It's impossible for them. Almost everything the government does is shit. The government doesn't know how to do anything well. So you expect them to pull that thing off? Obviously not. If the government was trying to make the coronavirus and spread it in the world, it would get out of hand, kill a lot more people than it did, and I don't know, maybe destroy the world or do something else, or don't work in the first place. I don't know. So it's impossible for them, I think, to do something like that and plan it well. Look at what happened in Ukraine. Russia planned it for a very long time. Okay,
Yeah.
look what happened. Look what happens in Israel. Israel is a democratic state. It was attacked by a terror organization. and it still can't finish the job for many reasons. That the world doesn't let Israel actually fight and use its strength. But look what happened with the United States and Iran. Both sides planned something. Both plans went to shit. I mean, obviously, the United States beat the shit out of Iran a lot more than the other way around, because the United States and Israel are much stronger. But still, Trump didn't figure it out till the end. Now he has to go to the other part of the operation, which will probably start soon. And he has a lot of plans, and I hope it goes as planned, but I know it won't. It probably won't go smooth. Let's put it this way. So if you say that they're planning a virus that will take over the world and will have to vaccinate people and they'll make a lot of money. By the way, the vaccines don't cost that much. It's much better to get people chronically ill and take a pill every day. That's a lot more profitable. If we're talking about conspiracy theories, I would, if I would be the one planning it, that's what I would plan. Why vaccine is a one-time thing, even if it's every 6 months, it's
Maybe one day someone will offer you to get hired for such a gig, side gig.
But politicians don't think that way, especially not in democracies. They're just thinking about getting reelected. Maybe in dictatorships, where the dictator sits for 20, 30, 50 years, maybe he can think about something like that, because he's planning ahead a very long way. But by the way, that's one of the advantages dictators have over democracies. What Iran is trying to do right now with Trump is simply wait for him to go, because he will go, and they will stay because they're a dictatorship. That's the same thing that Putin did. At first, he wanted Biden to go away. He was just sitting waiting for him to go away.
So if we get out of politics, what advice would you give to people who start establishing their personal brand? So you've had an immense benefit from running a personal brand, and you have a pretty strong personal brand. How would you address growing a personal brand for someone who is a starter, but in 2026?
I must say one thing before I tell you what I think about personal brand. I'm not an expert in creating a personal brand for me, because I never thought about my personal brand. I was like, I will do whatever I want to do. And yes, I have a personal brand, but it's kind of an outcome of what I do. It wasn't planned. And I'm wrong here. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's how you're supposed to act. If you want to make a personal brand, you have to focus first on one thing, I think, and to get as good as you can in that thing, because then people will trust you and they will think of you as a successful person. So when you move to the next thing, they will know you're a successful person. You can do that well. You saw a lot of people using that personal brand. By the way, Donald Trump, he became successful in business, and he tried to associate with the presidency. Gary Vaynerchuk started in marketing wine, and now he's a marketer. And many other people. So I think you should focus, and you should talk about that one thing that you're obsessed about, be good about it, and that way you create a personal brand. You can switch it every time you want. I mean, when I started analyzing geopolitics, I don't think I'm such an amazing geopolitics analyst and that I have the most knowledge. What I do is I listen to the analysts I trust. I listen to all of them. I make my own calculations in my brain, and then I come with the outcome. But I never, unless it has something to do with a political campaign, because that's my field. But besides that, I never talk first. I would never be the one who say my opinion before I listen to other experts, and then I would come to my conclusion. If it has something to do with political campaign and things I understand and I have a lot of knowledge about, then maybe, I will talk first. When the ceasefire happened, for example, I was the first one to say that it's a ceasefire and it's the war is going to happen again. And I was very sure about it because I had a lot of knowledge in that thing. But I always listen to other experts. Most of the time I listen to other experts, and I'm the last one to talk. First of all, I want to hear everybody else's opinion, and then I make my own conclusions. And that way I'm wrong a lot less, because whatever sounds like it's the logical thing, usually is the right thing. Now, in a personal brand, and it created the personal brand for me as an analyst who knows what happens in the war, even though I'm not a professional in the field. not a professional. I don't know how you become a professional analyst. Maybe, I don't know, you need a lot more years, or you need to study something. But that was an outcome. If you want to be good in marketing or science or I don't know, whatever, talk about that all the time. Like Don Miller, one of the story brand expert. He always talks about how you create the right sound bites for a business, and it's the only thing he talks about. He's an expert in the field, and he also worked with I think with Hillary Clinton. I think maybe I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong here, but he talks about her campaign a lot, and so he reached the highest places he could because he was obsessed with one thing, and that thing had something to do with marketing and business. I learn a lot about marketing. I listen a lot to marketing experts, and I learn, but I don't talk about it that much. By the way, lately, so it hurts my personal brand as a marketing expert. Even though I have a lot of knowledge, if I wanted more customers now, I would start talking about it more. I'm just happy with the customers I have, so I'm not trying to expand. But if I wanted to create a bigger personal brand, I would probably talk about marketing more, and I would stop with the geopolitics, even though it's a hobby of mine, it's interesting. I don't know if talking about it helps my personal brand in the business side.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, what? So completely out of this, what would be an advice that you would give to a first-time crowdfunding manager, whatever? So someone who fundraises in crowdfunding the first time, what advice would you give them?
Work with someone who is professional, learn from him, because I don't think it's the right move for you to do the first campaign by yourself. If you're a marketing expert for many years and you know how to analyze things and how to analyze what campaign works and what doesn't, maybe you can succeed first. By the way, I succeeded the first time I tried to make a crowdfunding campaign in equity and with product. Both cases I succeeded the first time. I have a very analytic brain, and I'm a marketing expert for many years. So I just analyzed all the campaigns that work, all the campaigns that don't work, and I came to conclusions. But I must say that if my first campaigns, if I did it with someone who was already an expert in the field, I would probably do better. Okay, in equity back then, when I did my first campaign, there were no experts because it was one of the first campaigns in Israel. So I had no one to consult with except the platform itself. And the platform learned from me a lot more than I from them because I was a marketing expert for way longer than them. But that's a unique case. Okay, because if I came to the field today, for example, I would probably learn from them a lot more than the other way around. But the first time I did an Indiegogo, it's kind of like Kickstarter campaign. I did it by myself. I succeeded, but if I've done it with an expert, I would do it better.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And is there one philosophical question that you would like to address to our viewers on the podcast?
Well, when I close a client, I always try to underpromise if I can, because sometimes when you underpromise, you don't close. But I try to underpromise and overdeliver, and I always give them the hard truth to their face. No, I mean, I try to do it polite, because sometimes giving the truth is just being rude. I don't mean be rude. I mean, say the truth. Because many years ago, I read a quote from Mark Twain: "Those who never lie don't have to remember anything." And I completely believe in it, because I've seen people who twist the truth in business, and then they forget what they told, who they told it, and then they get caught with lies. And I had problems with partners in the past who told stuff to clients, and then they forgot that they said it, and there were problems later. So I believe always say the truth. And if you don't close the client, then don't close the client, but don't lie, and don't try to sugarcoat it. Try to say the truth, and that way you have a lot less problems. And if you manage to underpromise, if you're sure you're going to raise, I don't know, $1 million on something, then say you think it's 800,000 or 900,000, and then surprise for the best. If you're surprised for the best, it always increases your value in the eyes of the people you promise stuff to. By the way, it's the same thing with the girl. some guys come to the first date and they say all the best things about them in the beginning. But the truth is, if you surprise for the best, she's used to getting good surprises from you, and she will trust you more. No, she'll have higher expectations eventually, but then in the event that you already started dating, it's good.
Thank you, Senia. That's a lot of value that we got from this question. Thank you. Where can the viewers find more about you? And how can they contact you for help? And which kind of help are you actually providing? So what are you not interested in delivering to people? And what are you interested in? So they will not spam you.
I'm interesting marketing campaigns that I can build is always interesting. Interesting startups that I can help be part of, new technologies, new things. Those are basically the things that I'm focused on. I don't do art. I don't do fashion. Those things, and I don't do food marketing. And those are the things I like less. I like technology, some interesting services. And if you have an interesting out of the box marketing campaign, that's it. Always, I started my high exposure to marketing by doing the first viral marketing campaigns in Israel. So I'm always interested in making viral videos, for example.
Thank you, Senia. We will keep the...
That also sell, by the way. I have to say, the problem of viral videos is sometimes they're viral, but they don't sell anything.
Right.
So you need to make sure you make a viral video that actually sells, and that's the problem. That's the key here.
Well, I've seen the evidence that your ads do sell, because I know people who bought your products, so all kinds of them, by the way. So far. Well, put the links down below. Thank you to the watchers. Please hit a subscribe and like to the channel if you enjoyed this. The next episode will be likely with Ash Moria, the founder of the Lean Spark, as well as, well, maybe Eric Ries as well. Let's see how it goes, the communication with him. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
The reason I'm excited to run an AI company is I think it's the most interesting technological force and disruption that we've seen in my lifetime.
What's your top tools that you think you have added in the recent years that have boosted your productivity?
A CEO does three things: strategy and vision, make sure they got the right people on the bus, and make sure there's enough cash in the bank.